Recognize Mr. Strong from Alabama.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Wolf, under U.S. law, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security is, and I quote, charged with a duty to control and guard the boundaries and borders of the U.S. against illegal entry of aliens, close quote. Mr. Wolf, would it be safe to say that it is a responsibility of this role to be apprised of strategies, tactics, and methods being employed to exploit our borders?
Absolutely.
Would you also say that a great deal of time at DHS is devoted solely to briefing and keeping the Secretary informed on such matters?
Yes, there are numerous ways the Secretary stays informed about a number of things going on at the border.
Thank you. On several occasions this year, when he has appeared before Congress, Secretary Mayorkas has testified that he was unfamiliar with some of the tactics being employed by cartels at the southern border. Mr. Wolf, in what circumstance would you say it's understandable or acceptable for the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security to be unaware of what is happening at the border?
In that particular instance, I can't imagine how he's not aware of those tactics.
Is it a total failure at every level?
Again, I can't imagine why he would not know that. Just by visiting the border, talking to Border Patrol agents, and understanding that, frankly, it's just common knowledge those are the tactics.
I would think so also. Mr. Wolf, Mr. Scott, Mr. Enlow, whoever's comfortable, Secretary Mayorkas has had more than 2 years to observe the failure of his policies and either change course or resign if not allowed to by President Biden. He has done the opposite, doubling down on those policies and implementing new unlawful programs. Does this strike you as someone helplessly responding to a crisis or someone intent on policies that caused the crisis?
I believe he's very committed to his policies, and I don't mean to be out of order, but I'd like to comment on your last question for the Secretary.
Please do.
I put in writing as the Chief of the Border Patrol what those tactics were in a memo that went through Acting Commissioner Troy Miller, and it was addressed to Secretary Mayorkas. It was clearly outlined, and that was while I was still Chief of the Border Patrol.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. I appreciate that. And I want to come back to you with this question. Why would the Department of Homeland Security Secretary oppose the construction of more border wall system, especially when Border Patrol agents routinely say it's an important part of the toolkit?
Because the President campaigned on no more border wall.
Thank you. Mr. Scott, since you're here, and I want to thank you again for coming back before us. I know I've met you several times. During the Trump administration, the big thing that I saw whenever you were there, Border Patrol apprehended, processed, and by ICE air returned these illegal aliens to the country of their origin. What message did this send when you were there to those seeking to enter America illegally?
That is a huge deterrent. A couple of things happen, I think, and we keep talking about gotaways, but what people aren't really understanding is that every gotaway and then every person released into the United States does exactly what you would do. They call home and they tell their family and friends where they're at, they check in. Their friends and family hear that message gets out. When we put people, and then more come. When we put people on airplanes and they show up back in the home country after expending all these resources, they have horror stories about the trip, unfortunately, but they chose that trip. But they tell those stories and then they see them back home. And that has a huge deterrent effect. That actually saves people's lives because people choose to stay where they're at and make things better as opposed to put themselves in the cartel's hands.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf, Secretary Mayorkas has apparently turned off all the fiber optic sensors embedded in the border fence that was built during the Trump administration to allow the Border Patrol to detect when and where people are trying to either climb the fence, which is not easy, or cut through the fence with welding equipment. Do you believe Secretary Mayorkas has played a role in directing the Department of Homeland Security to halt the completion of lights, post-construction, and/or turn off the fiber optic sensors embedded in existing fences?
So I can't think of a reason why you would decommission or turn off capabilities that are already installed. The border wall system is much more than just that physical infrastructure. Lights, camera, roads, physical access, all the things that Border Patrol agents need to do their job. Why you would turn those off, it's beyond me. I can't even think of a reason why you would do that.
Thank you. And with 8 seconds left, I know it was mentioned that illegals don't have internet access. I want to let everybody know that there's counties in Alabama that don't have internet access also. We need to work in America to solve that problem. Thank you.